Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you here today. If you will, like, share, comment on the post, and then if you like, you can join me in the book of Colossians, chapter 3. We'll be looking at the first 4 verses of this chapter. There is a old movie. It's not by any token a spiritual movie. Don't know that there is a spiritual truth in it. And some of you may remember it's a Paul Newman movie, Cool Hand Luke. And if you remember at one point, the warden tells Luke, "You're going to get your mind right. You got to get your mind right." Well, Paul here, long before that movie came out, said to the believers, "Get your mind right." Look what he says in verse 2, "Set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on earth." Many Christians need to get their minds right, need to get their mind, their thoughts under control. Those thoughts turn into words. Those thoughts turn in to actions. If you don't change how you think, you won't change how you act. And so the Bible talks in the book of Romans, he calls us there for the renewing of our minds. And what Paul is saying is, if you've been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you will also appear with him in glory. Our thoughts determine our actions just as sure as the steering wheel in your car determines the direction that car goes in. What a man thinks, that's what he becomes. We have to focus our mind on the things of God. Unfortunately, too many of us often have our mind on unbiblical, ungodly things. There's a computer term. Well, there used to be a computer term. You don't hear it anymore. Back when computers first started getting more access to the common man, there was a phrase that said "garbage in, garbage out." Computers only can give you as good an answer as the information that you put in to that computer. If you put bad information in, you get bad information out. And our minds are the exact same way. If we sit around all day, spend all day, and it doesn't have to be filthy bad things. I'm not saying you're sitting around watching dirty movies or listening to dirty jokes or anything like that. But it could just simply be that you spend your time watching the stock ticker, reading the newspaper, watching the 24-hour news. Those kind of things. Could be playing with the grandkids all day long, whatever. But never at any point during that time do you focus your mind on the things of God, His Word, what the Holy Spirit is trying to speak to us. Again, it doesn't have to be bad thoughts. They're just not the right thoughts. They're not heavenly thoughts. And so we have to think about God things. I like the one saying that says Paul's not saying that we have to sit around thinking about heaven all day, but we do think about heaven's perspective. When we do that, then we know how we are supposed to live in this world. So Paul is saying to the Colossians, you need a new mindset. You need to think differently. Why? Because you've died. Your life is no longer your own. Your life is now Christ. You have been clothed in righteousness, and that's how we should live. We've been raised with Christ and seated with Him. We have a new identity as a follower, as a child of the King, and our decisions, our thoughts, our actions, everything about us now, as I said just a moment ago, are now done with a heavenly perspective, not a human perspective, not a worldly perspective, but the phrase that we often use is with a Christian worldview. That we look at this world like God would look at it. We make our decisions like God would make those decisions. And so Paul again says it simply, set your mind on things that are above. Let's get our minds right so we can get our actions, our thoughts, our attitudes, our decisions, our families, our churches. If we get our minds right, if we get our minds on things above, we can get all those other things in the right place. Think about it. You have a good day. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.